Hi, my name is Devora Williams. My candidate number is 2555, and this is my critical creative reflection for Media Studies AS level. How does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? For this magazine, I use traditional conventions of a magazine by including a typical magazine spread, which is simply two pages that are viewed together. Master pages, running heads, folios, and headlines. I also use pull quotes, uh, body text, captions for images, and drop caps. Um, I also used a masthead and main image that helps represent individuals, specifically individuals at Miami Lakes Educational Center, with the masthead cover lines and the subject being people or things relating to the school. Like I said before, I wanted this magazine to represent individuals of the school, which is represented by cover lines How Do Students Branch Out, amongst many others. Instead of having a modern table of contents, I decided to include small sentences and a ending statement, creatively written from the interviews I took from the individuals featured in the magazine. I did this to create a more personal connection with the magazine, especially when this would be a magazine that would be sold in schools, specifically Miami Lakes Educational Center. For the magazine, I chose to have a similar house style to that of Elle or Vogue, specifically their sharp typography and minimalistic design. And I did this because I wanted to again highlight the individual on the cover and the cover lines so they could act as themes. This is to show potential audiences that what is discussed in the magazine isn't so one size fits all, but open to every unique experience. How does your product engage with audiences, and how would it be distributed as a real media text? So my plan is to make a scoop photography magazine. I want to create this magazine to be specific to the school, its students, and events, all under the topic of school pride. That being said, some students could want to see themselves and want to showcase their school pride, and others would just want to see like fun pictures. And that is what would really drive the engagement of students specifically. My target audience is students, faculty, and staff at Miami Lakes Educational Center, and this magazine wouldn't necessarily be a product for sale. It will be similar to the Miami Lakes Educational Center newspaper, which is available for anyone who comes to visit the school and its staff, faculty, and students. It will be passed out. That being said, just passing out a magazine is quite costly, and we would be doing fundraising to fuel those costs. Um, but but to also ensure engagement in this magazine, I chose to use photos I've taken of these students myself and of the school. Seeing these pictures is definitely a gateway opportunity for most of these students, and it's just a great way to see them featured, to share their story with other students, and once other students see that, they will then follow suit. How did you integrate technology, software, hardware, and online in this project? To create this project, I chose to use Adobe InDesign and Canva. This is because these are the programs that are accessible to me. Adobe InDesign is the industry-leading page design software and layout app that lets you create pre-flight and publish documents for print and digital media. Using my Adobe InDesign certification and my previous experience of creating magazines on the software, along with Canvas designs and elements for reference, I was effectively able to create my vision for this media studies magazine. With InDesign and Canva, there were a lot of snail hairs that had to be fixed, but through a lot of work and dedication, I was able to get it done. For example, the overlapping of the masthead in the cover that was used on, I used both InDesign and Canva for that to isolate the background and then highlight the individual as seen as on the cover as Ryan Dyer. Online, I used the program Coolors to help create a color palette for the magazine. By doing that, I was able to drop the cover image into the AI generator and get specific colors from that picture to incorporate into the magazine, which turned out to be more monochromatic. Using that and the references of Vogue, Elle, and all the other references I had, I chose to creatively add color to the monochromaticness of the magazine. That can be seen in the red masthead, the Harbinger, um, which highlights the red inseam on the Canon camera strap seen in the photo. How did your production skills develop throughout this project? Creating the spread became much harder than I thought it would, but through careful considerations and revisions, I was able to shift the focus while remaining with the stance of highlighting individuals. Creating each section of this magazine had definitely had its positives and negatives, but through careful consideration, especially from the feedback I received with the cover and the spread and what quotes to include rather than not include, it definitely helped develop what the magazine should be and fine tune its focus. My experience on Canva and InDesign really did help the production of this magazine because without it, I wouldn't be able to do things like overlapping the subject and the masthead, or creating a gradient for the background, or even taking those photos with the Canon camera on manual. Thank you.